my friend. We are so close to 2025 that we can almost taste it. 2024 has been a year. It has been a year. There were lots of ups and downs for me personally, and I know that that is likely the case for you too. Now, I love a new year because there really is something to the energy of a new year. And I feel like there is so much momentum moving in our favor to create a life we love. Now, I know some people don't like a new year. They feel like it's too much pressure and resolutions and all the things. I love it. I absolutely do. And I feel like there's so much opportunity for us to harness that potential and that optimism and that excitement. So why would we not do that? So that's what I want to talk about today. Now, I would say that for me, each year I build a life that I am happier and happier with. And I think about life a lot. I've been accused of being an overthinker, but we get one life. I want it to be a good one. I want us to make the best of it. And there are obviously a lot of things out of our control, but there are a lot of things in our control. And I'm always focused on being, I used to say the best version of myself. I've been saying my favorite version of myself, which I love so much more. And I'm really trying to focus on being that favorite version of myself for myself and for everyone around me, and really focus on being happier and happier and doing better in all areas of my life, right? Growth mindset here. So I want to talk about how I do that so that you can do the same if that feels like something that you're interested in doing. So I've been talking a lot about vision here on this podcast and in the multiple programs that I run, because it really all stems from there. How incredible of a home and life can you envision for yourself, right? Can you really anchor into a vision for your home and for your life that feels so exciting and that lights you up? And with that sort of at the forefront of this conversation, let's talk about some ways that we get there. Now, I know some people like to set a word or a phrase or a mantra for their new year. And I love that. If that works for you, love that for you. It's never really worked as well for me because I kind of always forget what the word is. I suppose you could write it down or come up with a system, put a recurring appointment in your calendar with the word. Maybe I'll do that. As you can see, I have nothing set in stone yet. We've got some time. We have got some time. But what I do is I prefer to focus on a big goal or a theme. And I'm getting close to landing on mine for 2025. But because I'm not there yet, I want to talk about 2024's vision and goal, because I feel like we hit it out of the park. So my focus for 2024 was on family adventure. And I want to share with you what that looked like. I'll share what I'm thinking for 2025, which is capital FUN, fun. Being more present and bringing more fun into our day-to-day. Sorry, I was just real close to the microphone there. Got some of that sounded weird, but we're not going to edit it out because here we are. Okay, capital FUN. How can I really want to focus on having more fun, but I realize a big component of that for me is being more present. So they really go hand in hand. So being more present and bringing more fun into our day-to-day. So we'll get into that in a little bit. So as you think about 2025, what does your favorite version of yourself look like in this new year? What does she look like? How is she showing up? What does she have energy for? What does she not have energy for? What boundaries has she set up? And she's like, no, thank you. 2025 me is a no for that. What are those things? And knowing what that vision is, what does this version of you today need to do in order to become her in 2025? That is the golden question. What does today's version of you need to do to become that favorite version of yourself in 2025? And here's the deal. I think a lot of the reason that resolutions fail is because it's like new year and now I am this thing, or now I've done this thing. I don't think about it like that. I think about like, we've got a year to get it done. I like a year, right? The GHG Home Organizing membership is a year because I am all about taking small, deliberate actions consistently, building on them over time to get the result we want so that we get to keep it forever and ever and ever and ever. And it takes time to do that. So when I am saying that my focus for 2025 is being more fun and being more present, I also still want to continue to have family adventures like we had in 2024. I'm not getting rid of it because the year is done. It's how can I then layer this next thing on top of it? So let's talk about it. So I find it super helpful to write some things down, write it down, write down your big goal, and then write down some micro steps you can take to get there. So what did this look like for us in 2024? Well, I first set this idea, this goal, this vision, whatever you want to call it, for having more family adventures. So first thing I did was talk to my hubby about it because we do everything in partnership. We make decisions in partnership, particularly if it's going to be family adventures and traveling. And then we outlined some adventures that we wanted to do throughout the year, looking at long weekends, looking at local things that we wanted to do. Now, let's, preface this. Preface, that's not even a preface. It's just a piece of the conversation, which is that it takes money to do these things, right? So this was a very deliberate decision that here's where we were going to put our money in 2024, more travel, more adventures, more doing things. And so what other decisions then are impacted by that? Are there days off that need to be taken, which is obviously more complicated now that my kids are older, can't really take them out of school like we have in the past. But, if kids have days off school, but we don't necessarily have days off work, are we going to make those days off, right? So really talking this through, outlining what some of our adventures were. And a piece of this was wanting to go away with friends. And so we reached out to some friends who we've traveled with in the past. We know our families get along well together, and we planned some adventures for most, if not all, of the long weekends that happen throughout the year. Now, some of you listening to this might be like, we do that anyway. And I love that for you, that you do that. That was not who we were as a family for a variety of reasons, but I love that we did that. And we're planning that again in 2025, in addition to my new goal of making the everyday more fun, I think. Don't hold me to it. You can hold me to it in 2025. We're not there yet. Okay. So to make this happen, we had these conversations, we reached out to people, and then we booked our trips. But the other thing we did was we left open space in our calendar for more impromptu day trips. So we live outside Boston, and there are so many incredible places that you can drive to in under an hour or just over an hour. I love being by the ocean. And I mean, we can drive to New Hampshire in under an hour. We can drive to Maine in just over an hour. We can be on the water in Massachusetts, in New Hampshire, in Maine. Oh, wait, in New Hampshire, can you be on the water? Okay, maybe not. I'm not the best at geography, but certainly in Massachusetts and Maine, we can be very quickly. And so we planned open space in our calendar to also be able to take impromptu day trips if something sounded fun, or do adventures right in downtown Boston. Friend, I am doing something so fun, and this is your exclusive invitation to it. Starting on January 7th, I am running a totally free bootcamp in a closed Facebook group. I haven't done something like this in years. We're going to spend 1 week together jumpstarting our organizing for 2025. I am so excited to spend the week with you. The link to join this private exclusive Facebook group will be in the show notes. Click the link, join the group, and I am so excited to spend this week with you. How did we make this happen in addition to those things I just outlined? Well, hopefully you're convinced from being in my world that having strong habits and routines is the thing that single-handedly gets you to from where you are now to where you need to go. Habits and routines, right? So really thinking through as you're thinking about your big vision or your goal or your mantra or your word for 2025, what are the habits and routines that you need to put in place to get there? In addition to listing out some of these action steps you need to take, right? Like I just did, talking to my hubby, outlining the adventures, reaching out to friends, booking our trips, leaving space open. What are the day-to-day habits that you need to put in place to make your thing a reality? So this is going to come much more into play for me as I think about being more present and having more fun in 2025, because it's going to have to be a more intentional daily practice. I don't have the answers yet, friends. That's why we're talking about it now. We've got time. We're going to get there. So in addition to the micro habits and thinking about all the fun that it is to have this goal be achieved, it can also be really helpful to brainstorm some of the roadblocks that could come up for you. Why? Because hello, life, reality, things are going to get in the way. They just are. So thinking through what might come up can help not even manage our anxiety around it, but help ensure that we don't fall off course if they come up. Now, I don't want us to perseverate on the things that could go wrong and stand in our way, because that ain't helpful either. But what I do want us to do is think through what are excuses we've had in the past, or what are the reality of situations that crop up that might try to derail us, so that when it happens, we are prepared to do something about it. So again, let me give you an example, make this a little bit more helpful. I know a concrete example is so helpful for me. So as I was thinking through these adventures for 2024, I anticipated getting stressed about being away, because that was sort of like the brain loop that I'd always had in the past before I got organized. And sometimes that still crops up, right? I'm going to be away. I'm not going to be able to do my Sunday reset. What are all the things that I could be stressed about? So I got in the habit of looking at my calendar at least one full week out, if not more, to make sure that I was on top of anything that would normally get done on a weekend, so that I could shuffle things around and either get them done in advance or get them done after, and not stress about them while we were away, because I wanted our adventures to feel as fun and stress-free as possible. I didn't want to do these adventures and then come back and feel like, oh my gosh, now I have so much to catch up on, or be away worrying about things. That wasn't it. That was not the vibe. I wanted to go and have fun and be carefree. And so it took some work. This is one of the micro habits that I'm talking about, which was really trying to be on top of my schedule several days in advance. And this is also what it looks like to anticipate the things that could crop up, to try to suck your joy and the fun out of whatever it is you're doing. And that really helped make these adventures feel really fun. So what are the things that could crop up for you that, if you either thought about in advance or that you actually took some action steps in advance, would help you stay more on course? So when and if these roadblocks pop up, what will you do about them? How can you let it be easy? And how can you choose the path of least resistance? Because we want this to be fun. Well, fun's my big word, obviously, with my adventures in 2024 and in 2025. So maybe fun is not your goal, but ease or joy or happiness, whatever it is, you want to keep that emotion at the forefront of why you're doing this. And keep in mind that achieving this goal and this version of yourself will require some work, but that work can be really positive and really joyful because of the end result that you're getting out of it, right? So we can't just set a vision and then wish it to happen. When we set a vision, we then can take aligned action to make it a reality. But remember, you can't be upset at results you didn't get for work you didn't do. So if you have this vision for yourself or your family or your life, whatever it is, but you don't map out how you're going to get there, and then you don't adopt micro habits to make it a reality, you can't be mad at yourself at the end of 2025 if you didn't achieve it when you didn't actually do the work to get there. So this is why I feel like this is so fun to think about in advance, because it's not just the vision and the goal and the mantra and the word. It's what are you then going to do to make it a reality? And I don't know about you, but I feel like the things we work for end up feeling so much sweeter in the end than the things that were just handed to us. And it's even more enjoyable knowing that we made that happen for ourselves. We did the work. But I want you to have a really great 2025, and there will inevitably be things that crop up that are out of our control, that are hard, that are sad. That's life, friends, right? The whole gamut of emotions. So of the things that you can control, what are you going to do about them? What action steps are you going to take? And what does your favorite version of yourself look like as she is doing these things? And who is she at the end of 2025? How friggin' fun is that to think about? I personally love this. And because there's no part of this that is beating ourselves up for not being her right now. We are appreciating who we are. We are acknowledging who we are. We've worked really hard. We've taken a lot of action steps to get where we are today, and we're going to celebrate that. And there's also space to acknowledge that there's room to even be our next favorite version of ourselves. And what does she look like? And what do we need to do to get there? And I can say resoundingly that each year, over the past several years anyway, I am a more favorite version of myself than I was the year before. And I intend to keep moving forward in that trajectory because of specific action steps that I'm going to take to get there. So our big takeaways from today's episode are that achieving our goals requires a vision and taking action steps to get you there. See yourself as the favorite version of yourself who can and will achieve that. And let's cheer each other on. Let's do it. Let's be each other's biggest cheerleaders and let's root for each other. Because how fun is that? So if you want to participate in this rooting each other on, DM your goal or your word or your mantra or your vision for 2025. And I will screenshot all of them and I will anonymously share it with our community on Instagram so that we can get inspired and we can speak our dreams out into the universe. There is so much power in speaking our dreams out loud and then rooting each other on. It feels so good to be cheered on, but I think it feels even better to cheer other people on. So let's do it. Let's really increase the incredible high vibes of this community. We are going to make 2025 an amazing year. But first, let's go make today a great day.